Hello everyone, how are you? I'm Nishikawa, the presenter of this program. This Unit 5 is going to explain a PDM and an action plan in detail for those who have already learned the basics of the PCM method. If it is the first time you've heard the word PCM method, please watch from Unit 1 to Unit 3 first. Outlines of a PDM and an action plan were already explained in Unit 3. This time again, let us use the case of Akihabara village for purpose of explanation. First of all, do you remember the difference between a project and a program? Let us have a look at the objectives analysis tree to confirm the difference between a project and a program. In the case of Akihabara village, the project candidate number 2, Water Supply Improvement Project, was selected in the project selection stage. Implementing this project achieves the project objective. Time taken to draw water will be shortened. However, the core objective, women are less busy with housekeeping, cannot be achieved unless all the other projects are implemented. In this way, an approach which covers all the project candidates needed to achieve the core objective as a package is called a program. The explanation in this video focuses on projects. Now, let us have a look at how to form a project design matrix, PDM. A PDM is a table of a project plan content which consists of 16 cell tables. Those who make project plans, please stay tuned for the following explanation on how to form a PDM. Those who make program plans, please skip how to form a PDM and go to the explanation on how to make an action plan. A PDM has 4 column headings, which are from left to right. 1. Narrative summary. 2. Measurement for progress. 3. Data sources. And 4. Assumptions. There are also 4 rows, which are from top to bottom. Overall goal, project purpose, outputs, and activities. Now, allow me to explain how to fill in the PDM for the water supply improvement project in Akihabara village. First, write relevant information in the header section of the matrix, such as the project name, duration, target area, target group, and date. Now, let us start filling in the cells on the matrix. First, we are going to start with the narrative summary. The narrative summary corresponds to the objective tree. Let's look at more concrete example using Akihabara village. The overall goal corresponds to the core objective of the selected project. The project purpose corresponds to the card on the top of the selected project in the objective tree. Outputs corresponds to what was written on the 3 cards under the project purpose. The area under these 3 outputs is for activities. According to the objective tree, the activity for the wells work well is the wells are maintained properly. Under the activity are sub-activities. For example, the sub-activity for the wells are maintained properly is a management board for wells is set up. In this process, you may find a card in objective tree that already has an achieved condition described. In such a case, please rewrite the card to describe actions that will lead to the achieved condition. In this example, let us rewrite a card for an activity. The wells are maintained properly. 2. We are going to improve the well management. And a card for sub-activity, a management board for wells is set up. 2. We are going to establish a well management association. After completing the PDM, an action plan with more detailed descriptions will be prepared. So, it is sufficient for the PDM to describe no further than sub-activities as given in the objective tree. After filling in the narrative summary, we are moving on to the assumptions on the far right. The assumptions will have descriptions of external conditions necessary to lead activities to outputs, external conditions necessary for the outputs to achieve the project purpose, and external conditions necessary for the project purpose to achieve the overall goal. As they are external conditions, the project itself does not have control over them, but they may have great influence on the progress and success of the project. For this reason, it is necessary to check to see if the conditions are as described in the assumptions during the project. And if not, the content of the project should be reviewed. In other words, the PDM should be rewritten for adjustment and kept as a new version. Now, let us have a look at the case of the water supply improvement project in Akihabara village. For the project purpose, time taken to draw water will be shortened. Assumption might be other work than water drawing not increases so much. The villagers use the newly sunk wells and so on. Likewise, assumptions should be described for outputs and activities. After assumptions are completed, let us proceed to measurement for progress. The measurement for progress should have indicators described to allow us to judge whether the progress is going as planned. In case of the water supply improvement project in Akihabara village, the overall goal is women are less busy with housekeeping. So, if a mother at home is spending more time for housekeeping, progress to achieve the overall goal is not taking place. And if she is spending less time, it can be judged that the overall goal is being achieved. Such indicator for judgment on progress should also be given to project purpose and each of the outputs. When the measurement for progress is completed, let us move on to the data sources. This is where the data for measurement comes from. In case of the water supply improvement project in Akihabara village, the measurement for progress for the overall goal is women are less busy with housekeeping. So, the data sources can be sampling survey for the villagers and so on. In this way, data sources for each measurement for progress should be described. After the data sources, let us go on to input, which is in the center of the bottom. Input should have injection plans for necessary resources to implement each activity. Description should be separated for donors and recipients and be in detail, including human resources, materials or equipment, and operating cost. Lastly, let us proceed to the bottom cell in the assumptions column, which is precondition. Here, conditions necessary to start the activities of the project should be described. However, these preconditions don't include general procedures related to the whole project. For example, such descriptions as to secure budget for the project or to have the official agreement signed for the project should not be stated as preconditions. Now, the PDM is completed. After the PDM, the next step is an action plan making. As a PDM gives just the outline of the project activities, it is difficult to carry out detailed activities when implementing them on an actual scene. For this reason, before starting the project, it is necessary to have an action plan which gives a breakdown of the activities. An action plan should have various contents described. Generally, an action plan consists of 1. Background information such as sector, region, and organization. 2. Their issues and problems. 3. Their principles and objectives. 4. The implementation plan of the organization. 5. The content and details of activities and individual responsibilities. 6. An action plan framework. 7. A summary table of the action plan. First, allow me to explain an action plan summary table, which is a table giving the outline of what to implement during the project or program and how. For a project, an action plan summary table should be based on the PDM which has been prepared for the project. For a program, an action plan summary table should be made referring to the objective tree in order to cover all feasible project candidates. An action plan summary table should have the content of each activity, expected outcomes, implementation methods, target group, implementation schedule, implementing and executive organizations, necessary resources, method of monitoring and evaluation, and so on. However, there is no fixed format for an action plan summary table, so you can make a suitable table for your own according to the content of the program or project you are working on. I will show you just an example of an action plan summary table. In this video, the selected 8 items to describe are: first, activities and sub-activities, and the other columns follow corresponding to each sub-activity, which are target group, modality of implementation of activities, direct output, implementation schedule, executive or implementing organization, resources required, and finally, monitoring or evaluation method. Now, let us make an action plan summary table for the water supply improvement project in Akihabara village. For example, Activity 1, we are going to improve the well management, has 1-1, we will establish a well management association as its sub-activity. But that is not enough for activities. So please fully utilize your knowledge and experience to add more detailed descriptions for sub-activities. For example, for more detailed activities for 1-1, we are going to establish a well management association. We might have 1-1-1, formation of a well management association preparatory committee. 1-1-2, the villagers understand the current problems in the well management through a participatory approach. 1-1-3, enhancement of knowledge of well management. Next, the 8 items should be described for each sub-activity. Let us take up 1-1-1, formation of a well management association preparatory committee, as an example. First, how about having the association preparatory committee as a target group? And for modality of implementation of activities, the proper form to conduct the activity should be described. So, how about meetings? For direct output, expected direct output should be described. So, in this case, it will be an installation committee is formed. As for scheduling, implementation of this project is planned for 2 years from April 2009. How about setting April 2009 for implementation of this 1-1-1, formation of a well management association preparatory committee, because it is the first activity. The next item, executive or implementation organization should have names of organizations. For this example, this might be the village committee. Resource required should include human resources, equipment, other funding, which are necessary for implementation. Here, let us state things necessary for holding a meeting, such as room, stationery, and means of transportation. The last item is the monitoring or evaluation method. Here, we describe how to monitor or evaluate outputs of the activity and names of documents to record them. As we have meetings as the modality of implementation of activities, we can write minutes of meetings. In this way, these items are filled in for all sub-activities. When all items have been filled in, an action plan summary table is completed. Now, let us have a close look at an actual action plan.
Covered in this presentation.
These are participants for the training course, Economic Development Promotion by Local Government in Malawi.
Targeted farmers who have to develop their own
Here,
institution.
they were divided into 2 groups by tasks, and each group prepared and presented their action plan separately.
These free markets will
municipality, there's the mayor.
Let us use the action plan of the finance group as an example. Here's the title, then comes background. Background is made up with the decentralization process in Malawi and the problem statement and analysis. This means it contains some information necessary for the action plan, which are 1. Background information such as sector, region, and organization, and 2. Their issues and problems. Next, we can find objectives and rationale. They contains information about 3. Their principles and objectives, and 4. The implementation plan of the organization. Then follow project activities, project implementation plan, expected outcome and output, and limitation of the project. Here we can find information about 5. The content and details of activities and individual responsibilities, and 6. Action plan framework. An explanation about the assumed project site follows, and the summary comes in the end. In this way, they created the action plan describing all the various information necessary for an action plan. By taking a look at an action plan, even those who are not involved in the program or project can understand the detail of the program or project to be implemented. And these pieces of information are indispensable to provide unified understanding for all those who are concerned to the program or project. This is the end of the process of making an action plan. Allow me to add something to keep in mind when you are creating an action plan. It is important to be autonomous in your decision making, having a scope of your organization in mind. For this purpose, it is necessary for you to fully understand what approach your organization takes to implement the development plan, what approach your department needs to take in relation to that. Well, that's all for the explanation of a PDM and an action plan. Now, let's review this unit. Several projects are combined to make up a program. A PDM is made up with 16 cell tables. The columns are from left to right, narrative summary, measurement for progress, data sources, and assumptions. The rows are from top to bottom: overall goal, project purpose, outputs, and activities. Generally, description contained in an action plan includes 1. Background information such as sector, region, and organization. 2. Their issues and problems. 3. Their principles and objectives. 4. The implementation plan of the organization. 5. The content and details of activities and individual responsibilities. 6. An action plan framework. 7. A summary table of the action plan. To make an action plan summary table, the PDM should be referred to when planning a project, and the objective tree for a program. This is the end of this unit. Do you clearly understand the PDM and an action plan now? See you again in other units. Goodbye for now.